Hi everyone, this is Jess from LivingGirlLivingFoods.com. I'm currently in my mother's totally not raw or vegan kitchen. I'm visiting her in Rhode Island for the holidays, and of course she has a cold, which I'm not too surprised. My mother follows the standard American diet. She eats ice cream and pork and chicken and bread and just stuff that's considered average, I suppose. Whatever that means to people nowadays. Right now, I figured I'd record. I'm making her a little soup. And it's not vegan, and it's totally cooked. And I actually have no issues giving this to my mother. This is what she was craving for, and then I added a couple of my own little twists to it, so I would feel happy giving her this food. So I'm making kind of a not so traditional Portuguese kale soup for my mother. I used whatever ingredients she had around the house, which is not really much of anything. Her fridge is kind of scary looking. There's really nothing in there right now besides my vegetables. So she had a little bit of organic, low sodium chicken broth. So I mixed that with some water, and I also added some shiitake mushrooms for medicinal purposes. And I've had that boiling at a very, very low temperature. This way, the nutrients from the shiitake mushrooms are definitely in that broth, and it hasn't cooked too quickly. The whole thing with properly cooking food and cooking it clean so you can actually get some nutrients out of it and not really waste your food or your time is how you cook it and at what temperature you cook it at. So I have her food boiling, which is really safe. That's like one of the safest ways to cook your food, and I know it sounds boring, but I'm going to go more into how I made it hopefully flavorful. And I've had it at a really low temperature. This way I didn't just burn the food and destroy it. And then I also added some chickpeas, since that's just a very traditional ingredient for the soup. Also has some protein and a little change in texture. I added some dinosaur kale that I chiffonaded and destemmed, and I'm keeping the stems for my juicing. I also added some carrots and just slightly, I cut them very thin. I also added some dulse and lavender and sea lettuce into the broth instead of adding salt. And also this natural iodine and benefits from the sea will be added into her soup. I still have the mushrooms in there right now. I'll probably remove them at the very end and maybe use them for something else for her another day. Probably make some sort of mushroom gravy that will be cooked for her to add to other food, whatever she chooses for that to be. And I still have this stuff going really, really slow right now. Let me give you a little sneak peek of how this is looking. Okay, this might steam up the screen. I've never done this before, so this should be fun. Let's see how it goes. So yeah, you can see her soup right there. And like I said, I think there's completely nothing wrong with me giving this to my mother. It's something, she asked me to make her a soup. She told me that she wanted carrots in it, she wanted chickpeas, she kind of wanted some sort of kale soup. I just bought kale from the grocery store. Everything in there is organic, and like I said, I have no problem with it because I slowly cooked it and it's been boiling. And I added the shiitake mushrooms and some dulse and just my little love into it in hopes that this will make her feel better. So I hope for those of you who feel like you cheated or you did something terrible by having something cooked and you're trying to increase your raw intake, there's no rules with having to be 100% raw or 50% or 70%. Numbers are numbers. You can write a number on your shirt or on your pants and you could say that that's the number of pant size you are. It really doesn't flippin' matter. Who cares? Whatever feels good to you and whatever makes you feel good, health-wise though too. It might feel good to eat a tub of ice cream, but it's not going to actually do anything to make you feel good as you continue. So there is a difference between just indulging and listening to what your body truly needs. So I hope this gives you guys some ideas on how to cleanly cook some things this winter. If you find yourself stuck, it's definitely better to have a broth or some boiled vegetables than to go out and pick up like a sandwich with tofu bacon and lots of processed foods that will kind of just cause a battle in your body and definitely will weaken your immune system. So if you guys have any questions, comments, if you want to share any clean cooked soups that you do during the season, please feel free to link them below. And thank you so much for your time. I'll see you guys soon.